Mara walked into the busy sitting room in Njori Village carrying a tray of warm ginger tea. She hummed a tiny tune to calm her shaking hands because the house was full of visitors and she wanted everything to look perfect. People were laughing in bright, easy voices. The whole room felt happy until Mama Lemba leaned closer to her guests and said in a sweet but sharp tone that Mara had only married her son for money. The words slipped into the air like smoke and settled on everyone. Someone gasped. Someone gave a small, nervous laugh. Mara tried to keep her own smile, but it broke into a shaky breath. Heat climbed up her throat and reached her ears. Cairo stopped talking mid-sentence and stared at his mother, all color gone from his face. Mara placed the tray on the table with careful hands, afraid she would drop it. She stepped back from the group, feeling the room shrink around her. For a moment the laughter faded, and all she could hear was the loud beat of her own heart. She looked at the people gathered there, her eyes bright with hurt she refused to let fall, and the room felt colder than before. After the party, the house changes in a way Mara feels with every step she takes. She becomes a quiet space people walk around. When she enters a room, conversations break into half sentences. People tilt their heads and give her those small, worried smiles that only make her chest tighten more. Mama Lemba suddenly turns into a guide for everything. She comments on how Mara should wear her hair, what colors suit her, how much she should spend, how she should sit, talk, even breathe. Every word feels like a tiny push, a reminder of the insult that still hangs between them. Cairo tries to comfort her, but his jokes are weak and tired. He touches her shoulder and tells her not to mind his mother, but he looks guilty, as if he wishes he could take back the moment but doesn't know how. Mara nods and smiles for him, but when night comes she curls into herself in the dark. She cries softly into the pillow so no one can hear. The tears come slow at first, then faster, until sleep finally pulls her under. When she walks through Buhea Market the next morning, she can feel eyes on her again. Women she knows greet her with long sighs and soft "oh dear" sounds. Their faces show pity she never asked for. Even the butcher, a man who usually shouts greetings loud enough to shake the dust off the vegetables, lowers his voice when he speaks to her. His gentle tone feels heavier than shouting. Every act of kindness touches the wound in her, pressing it deeper. She buys tomatoes she doesn't need just to end the conversation and walks away with her head down, biting the inside of her cheek to stop the sting of tears. At home, she forces herself to move through the day. She sweeps, cooks, arranges the cushions, and keeps her face steady, but inside she feels like a pot left too long on the fire. Something tight coils deep inside her chest. It isn't anger. It isn't revenge. It is something quieter, heavier, a strength she doesn't understand yet. She carries it with her from room to room, from market to kitchen, from morning to night. She does not speak of it to anyone, not even Cairo. She holds it the way a person holds a secret flame, unsure if it will burn her or light her way, but certain it will not stay small forever. The family dinner starts warm enough. Plates clatter, chairs scrape, and people talk over each other as they reach for food. Mara sits quietly at the edge of the table, trying to relax and be part of the noise. For a moment she lets herself believe tonight will be calm. But then Mama Lemba lifts her voice, loud enough for every ear to catch, and says with a sharp smile, "Mara, did you pay the water bill with your husband's generosity again?" The words drop into the room like stones. Conversations pause. A few people laugh, but it is the kind of laugh that wobbles and never reaches the eyes. Mara feels her throat tighten. She opens her mouth to answer lightly, to pretend it doesn't sting, but her voice shakes. She forces a tiny smile, then whispers that she'll be right back and stands before anyone can stop her. She walks out to the backyard, and the moment the door closes behind her, the cold night air hits her face. It feels like someone slapped her with wind. She lets out one short laugh, but it breaks in the middle and turns into a half sob. She presses her hand over her mouth as tears rush out faster than she can stop them. Her shoulders tremble. The voices from inside the house blur together, and she feels small, tired, and trapped between wanting to scream and wanting to disappear. She leans against the wall, wiping her face with her sleeve, but the tears keep coming. She feels embarrassed, angry at herself for crying, angry at the situation, and tired of holding everything inside. She sinks to a crouch, hugging her knees, trying to breathe slowly. The cold grass, the quiet night, the distant sounds of laughter all make her feel even more alone. Then she hears soft footsteps. When she looks up, a tiny neighbor child stands there, barefoot and shy, holding a small flower that looks like it barely survived being picked. The petals are torn, the stem is bent, but the child smiles as if offering the most precious thing in the world. Mara's breath catches. The sweetness of the gesture hits her so suddenly that she lets out a small, broken chuckle, the kind that comes from both pain and relief. She takes the flower with gentle fingers and whispers thank you. The child nods and runs off again, leaving Mara holding the little gift like a lifeline. That one moment steadies her. She wipes her cheeks properly this time and takes a long breath that fills her lungs instead of shaking her. Something clears in her chest. The pain is still there, but it no longer feels like it's swallowing her. She stands slowly, smoothing her dress, and looks toward the house. She knows the hurt won't disappear in a day, but she also knows she isn't as weak as she felt 5 minutes ago. With quiet, steady steps, Mara walks back inside. Her eyes are red, but her heart feels strangely firm, as if something inside her has finally shifted into place. Mara throws herself into her work at Makazi Towers like it is the only place where her heart can breathe. Every morning she walks into the tall glass building with steady steps, carrying the weight of her pain, but refusing to let it slow her down. She works long hours, sometimes staying until the cleaners switch off the lights one floor at a time. Her files are always neat, her numbers always exact, her ideas always clear. When something is broken in a system, she finds the tiny thread that fixes everything, and even the senior managers stop what they're doing when she speaks. They didn't notice her much before, but now they watch her with raised eyebrows, surprised at how smart and sharp she is. One afternoon, her boss calls her into his glass office. Mara walks in nervously, thinking maybe she made a mistake in a report. But he smiles, slides a letter across the desk, and says her performance has been outstanding. Mara picks up the letter, reads the word promotion, and her breath catches. She laughs so loudly that a coworker passing the door jumps and nearly spills his tea. She walks out of the office glowing, her hands shaking with joy. That evening she buys street donuts for the whole team. People crowd around her desk, laughing, thanking her, cheering when she blushes and wipes sugar off her face. She almost cries from the kindness, but she hides it with a bright grin. Week after week, her life begins to shift. She gets another raise. Then she's chosen to lead a project most analysts dream about. A month later, she receives a travel request to represent the team at a regional conference. She reads the email twice, then presses a hand to her chest, almost unable to believe the change. The quiet woman people whispered about is now the woman everyone asks for advice. Her confidence grows in a way even she didn't expect. It feels like a flower that's been waiting for rain for too long and suddenly gets a full storm. She walks through Makazi Towers with new energy, her steps lighter, her smile steadier. At home she still cooks dinner, still sweeps the floors, still carries the old hurt tucked somewhere deep. Some days the weight returns, settling heavy in her chest. But other nights, when she is stirring a pot or folding clothes, she catches herself humming a small tune she hasn't heard in months. It isn't a sad tune. It sounds like someone coming back to life. Cairo notices it first. He watches her from the doorway, seeing the quiet fire in her eyes again, the one that had almost gone out. Mara doesn't say anything about her rise, about her new strength, about how work is slowly stitching her back together. She simply keeps moving forward, one steady step at a time, turning every wound into fuel without even realizing she is doing it. That morning, Mara rushes around the house, tying her hair with one hand and packing her bag with the other. She is running late, so she grabs her shoes, kisses Cairo on the cheek, and hurries out the door. In her rush, she doesn't notice the folder she left on the kitchen counter, the one she carries every day. Inside it sits her latest salary slip, printed in large, clear numbers that almost look unreal. It shows exactly how far she has come, how hard she has worked, how bright her climb has been. The sun moves slowly across the kitchen as the slip waits there, open like a quiet truth. A little later, Mama Lemba walks in with her cleaning cloth, ready to tidy the counters like she does every morning. She is humming softly, not thinking about anything heavy. Then her eyes land on the paper. She glances once, ready to look away, but something catches her. She steps closer. She freezes. Her hand lifts without her telling it to, and she picks up the slip with fingers that suddenly feel too light. Her mouth parts in shock. The number looks wrong to her. She reads it again, then slowly lowers herself into a chair because her knees feel weak. She stares at the slip as if it might change if she looks long enough, but it doesn't. The truth stays right there in front of her. Mara is earning more than she ever imagined, more than she thought possible, more than her own son. Disbelief spreads across her face, brushing away the old confidence she used to speak with. Shame follows close behind. She remembers every harsh word, every joke she made at Mara's expense, every assumption she repeated. A tight regret settles in her chest, so thin and fragile it almost looks like her face might crack from holding it. She blinks hard, trying to steady herself, but her hands keep trembling. She whispers a small sound, not even a word, just air escaping. At that moment, Cairo enters the kitchen. He stops when he sees her holding the paper. He doesn't need to check what it is. He knows. He watches his mother, her shoulders curled inward, her eyes wet with something she is too proud to name. He steps closer and says softly, "Now you know." His voice carries no anger, only truth. Mama Lemba swallows, her throat tight. For the first time in months, she has nothing sharp to say. No joke, no warning, no complaint. Only silence. The house grows still around them, the kind of stillness that comes before heavy rain when the air thickens and everything waits. She places the slip back on the counter with careful hands, as if it is something holy. Her eyes stay fixed on it, and in that moment she finally sees Mara not as a girl who married her son, but as a woman who built her own strength quietly, day by day, while no one was watching. That evening the house feels tight, like the walls are listening. Mama Lemba asks everyone to come to the sitting room. Her voice sounds small, nothing like the strong woman who usually commands every space she enters. She holds the salary slip in both hands, gripping it so hard the paper bends. Her fingers tremble as she looks around at the family gathered. For a moment she can't speak. She opens her mouth, closes it again, then tries once more. The words come out uneven, shaky, like they are fighting their way through her pride. She says she needs to talk about Mara, and her voice cracks right away. Her eyes shine, not with anger but with fear and regret. She admits she spoke without knowing the truth. She admits she believed what other people whispered instead of looking at Mara's work with her own eyes. The whole room stays silent. It feels like no one even breathes. Mara sits still, hands folded tightly on her lap. She didn't expect this. She didn't expect this proud woman to look so small and unsure. Tears gather in her eyes, not because she is hurt this time, but because she is shocked. She has never seen Mama Lemba tremble. She has never seen her search for words like a child learning to speak again. Mama Lemba tries to say more, but her voice keeps breaking. Finally she looks up, straight at Mara, and whispers, "I was wrong." Those three words fall into the room like a heavy stone, then everything becomes strangely light. Someone sighs. Someone shifts in their seat. The tension that has lived in the house for months loosens just a little. Cairo reaches for Mara's shoulder and squeezes it gently. She lets out a soft, shaky laugh, almost a breath she's been holding for too long. It trembles and then melts into a sigh. She wipes her face quickly, embarrassed that the tears slipped out, but unable to stop the warmth spreading in her chest. It isn't forgiveness yet, but it is a beginning. She looks at Mama Lemba, and for the first time she doesn't see an enemy. She sees a woman trying, a woman swallowing her pride for the sake of peace. The apology doesn't erase the pain. It doesn't magically wipe away the sharp words or the long months of silent hurt, but it opens something that had been closed for so long. A small door in the middle of all the heaviness. A door that lets in a little light. The family sits there for a moment, quiet and unsure, but no longer broken. This isn't the end of the story. It is the first gentle step toward healing, and everyone in the room feels it. Healing does not arrive like a bright sunrise. It comes slowly, in quiet, awkward steps that almost look like nothing at first. Mama Lemba begins with small offerings, the kind that speak louder than big speeches. One morning Mara finds a basket of fresh okra on the kitchen table, cleaned and packed neatly. Another day, Mama Lemba brings in linen she washed by hand, folding it with careful hands. Sometimes she offers a shy compliment, usually whispered so softly it almost disappears. Mara doesn't always know how to respond, but she nods, smiles a little, and lets the slow mending begin. One afternoon Mama Lemba follows Cairo into town, saying she wants to look around. She ends up outside Makazi Towers, watching from the lobby as Mara walks through the office. The way people greet her shocks her. Employees straighten when she passes. Some hurry over with files. Others wait for her opinion before making decisions. Mama Lemba stands there, hidden behind a potted plant, staring at her daughter-in-law with new eyes. She had never seen this version of Mara, the confident woman who spoke clearly, who others respected without question. Later that week, she slips quietly into the back of a community seminar Mara is leading. The hall is full of women starting small businesses. Mara stands at the front, explaining budgeting in simple steps, her voice calm and warm. When she finishes, the room bursts into applause. Women walk up to her, thanking her, telling her she changed their shops, their accounts, their confidence. Mama Lemba feels something tighten in her throat, something she is not used to feeling. Pride. Heavy, warm pride. Slowly the village changes too. The old gossip begins to fade. People who once whispered cruel things now say, "Mara helped me. Mara lifted this place. Mara saved our accounts." Her name, once tossed around in rumors, is now spoken with respect. Mama Lemba hears it again, and every time it softens something inside her. She sees the way the world stands by her daughter-in-law, and judgment slowly turns into admiration. But the strongest moment comes on an afternoon in Umoja Hall. Mara has organized a charity event, bringing people together to raise funds for families in need. The hall buzzes with music, chatter, and warm energy. Mara moves from table to table, checking details, greeting guests, smiling at children running between chairs. Then a man near the stage laughs loudly and says Mara only married Cairo for money. His voice cuts through the room. The words hang in the air like a bad smell, old and cruel. Mara freezes. She opens her mouth to speak, but before a single sound leaves her, the entire hall rises to her defense. Young women step forward. Elders stand tall. Businessmen push back their chairs. Teachers lift their hands. Voices overlap, strong and angry, shutting the man down. "Respect her. You don't know what she's done. She built this event. She built this village." The sound rolls like thunder. And then, in front of everyone, Mama Lemba steps out first. Her chin is high, her voice steady, her eyes fierce in a way no one has seen before. She tells the man he is wrong. She defends Mara as if she is defending her own heart. Even she seems surprised by the fire in her voice. The hall watches in silence, then breaks into applause. Mara stands there, stunned, tears shining in her eyes. Healing had been slow, but in that moment it stands tall. A year later, the courtyard in Njori Village is full of music, food, and bright chatter. Mara walks in carrying a bowl of rice, expecting the old weight in her chest to rise again. She thinks someone will whisper or stare or judge her the way they once did. But the moment she steps inside, chairs scrape and people rise to their feet. No one planned it. No one discussed it. They simply stand, every single one of them, as if respect pulls them up by the shoulders. The sight hits Mara so suddenly her breath breaks into a laugh, and tears spill before she can stop them. Mama Lemba hurries over, takes the bowl from her hands with gentle fingers and whispers, "Sit. You've served enough." She turns away quickly to hide the tears forming in her own eyes. Cairo watches the two women with a soft smile, pride shining on his face. Children run past, laughing and chasing each other, filling the courtyard with life. Mara settles under the mango tree, the shade wrapping around her like an embrace. Warmth spreads through her chest, a kind she once believed she would never feel again. She laughs easily now, a bright sound that feels free. When tears rise again, they taste sweet, not bitter. The final close-up is on her face, calm and sure. Her features carry the strength of everything she survived and the softness she never lost. The woman once mocked for marrying for money is now the woman an entire village stands up for, not because of her paycheck, but because of the dignity she held onto even when it hurt.